Hi, Katie.
Hi, Sarah. So here is Ruby. As we watch this video footage, can you tell us about this bird? Do we know if they're male or female?
Yes, we do. So as Katie mentioned, we're watching video footage of Ruby today. We have a few different facilities that we use to help us house our macaws because finding foster homes for them is challenging. So we're looking at video that we've recorded of Ruby. She is definitely a girl. We know that for sure because she has laid some eggs. So we've got
Oh,
some positive proof of that.
all
Ruby's a
right
girl.
then. So we know she's a girl and we know she's an adult. Do we have an idea how old Ruby is?
We do. She's in her early 20s. So we have a general idea. We don't have an exact date, and that's often the case with our rescue birds for obvious
Mhm.
reasons, but early 20s we're pretty confident about. So she's relatively young for a macaw. They can live to be well over 60, even 70 years old. So provided she's on a good diet and good health, then she's still got a long time left ahead of her.
Yeah, she could have the entire lifetime of an adult human
Oh, easily,
to live with
easily.
someone.
Very much
Um,
so.
As a reminder to our audience, if you have questions about Ruby, you can type them into the Q&A on Zoom or the video chat in Facebook. So Ruby here, I see, looks like she loves to dance, maybe a
Oh
little bit of
yeah.
a headbanger.
Oh
Um,
yeah. For
is
sure.
she tame?
She does step up. She
Mhm,
uh she will ride on somebody's shoulder and she will step up. Obviously, that doesn't happen overnight. You need to get to know her a little bit.
mhm.
But she's used to being handled and she's fairly well socialized. So yes, you can absolutely handle her once you get the chance to have her settle in and get to know you as a person.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to be careful that you don't overstimulate her. A lot of macaws can get very overexcited if they spend too much time on your shoulder or hanging out with you, depending on how you handle them. You don't want to get them hormonal. Ruby has a
Mhm,
history of becoming very hormonal. We mentioned the egg laying earlier, and
mhm.
that's an important health consideration for her because the last home she was in, unfortunately, they didn't understand the hormone situation, and so she laid about 9 eggs in the space of just over 2 months.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's not good. That's very risky health wise for female parrots in general, including macaws.
Mhm.
When they start laying eggs, we need to discourage that. And so, usually by that point, that means getting the help of an avian vet who can use Lupron, which is a synthetic hormone, to try and level them out and get them back down from that hormonal spike. So she's had 2 shots of Lupron, which have really helped,
Mhm.
and that has also made her easier to handle because obviously when they're very hormonal, they're much beakier, they're much more hyped up. It's harder to work with them, and they're a lot less likely to negotiate and compromise with you. So she's really happy now that the Luprons worked and she's leveled out. She's happy to hang out outside of her cage on a stand or on her door, and she'll spend time with people on your arm, and she's feeling a lot better.
Got it. So a lot of us have a frame of reference with birds of like chickens who lay eggs on a regular basis, or the birds in our backyard who raise babies every year. Um, so could you talk us just a little bit about why 9 eggs is an actual problem for Ruby, and also why why she would get leaky and a little bit more difficult to interact with when she's hormonal.
Yes. So laying eggs, it's very different between poultry like chickens and ducks and what have you, or even pigeons and parrots. Egg laying, your chickens they'll lay eggs throughout most of the year, and that is completely normal to them. And for parrots, it's much more of an annual breeding cycle.
Mm,
So you really don't want your parrot to be. It's very possible in our homes. It's obviously our homes are a very unnatural environment for parrots,
mhm,
and we have a lot of influence over what their environment is like. It's very possible, and we strongly recommend that if you have a female parrot living in your home, you should be managing their environment very carefully to avoid egg laying completely. And for most parrots, that is possible. There are some who have a lot of hormonal problems where it may not be possible, but you should really be working to minimize it as much as possible. It can be very dangerous for female parrots if they are laying eggs consistently over a prolonged period. Then obviously they can suffer from mineral depletion, and also they can have the dangers of becoming egg bound, which can be fatal if it isn't picked up on quickly and treated with help from your vet. And that can also lead to longer term issues like prolapse, which is extremely painful and incredibly dangerous for the bird. And we've seen many older birds losing their lives to prolapse ultimately. And that's not even specific to female parrots. Male parrots that are left to be in a super hormonal state for prolonged periods of time can also suffer from prolapse. So there are lots of things we have in our toolbox when we have a parrot at home. You can manage their environment through how much sleep they get, their diet, lighting, the layout of the cage, how you handle them. There are lots and lots of different factors that we have that we can use to influence their hormones.
Well, thank you. Let's see, I have a number of other questions for you. What does Ruby eat?
She's
it
on
sounds like that is part of how you manage hormones, I think you just said too.
Yeah, that's right. She's on a diet where she's slowly coming around to pellets. She's on a mix right now with some seed and some pellets. So it's a trending towards more pellets and less seed. So her diet is improving. She's a pretty good eater. She's had a few owners already in her life. Her last owner, unfortunately, passed away, so we weren't able to get a lot of information that we usually hope to obtain when we take a parrot in and care for them. But we've just been slowly working to get her eating more vegetables, eating better, and she is accepting pellets. So that's really good news, and it's just a case of keeping that going now. The less fat they have in their diet overall, generally the better it is for managing their hormones and for their health in general. You don't want to have anyone on a high fat diet, just like with people. You know, you consider seeds like more of a treat, maybe just 5 to 10% of their overall daily intake. You know, save those for when you're socializing with them or doing some maybe target training. You can hold back the seeds to offer by hand when you're interacting with them rather than filling up a bowl with them, for example, which would be a little bit too much.
So what does Ruby like to do? What are her favorite activities? It looks like she bops around her cage quite a bit.
Oh yeah, she's like a lot of greenwings. She's pretty high energy, so she loves music. We don't have the sound enabled in this video so that we're able to present the adoption fair over it, but there's some music playing in the background, and she just loves dancing. A lot of greenwings will do the move that she's about to pull in the video, where she sort of goes into like a figure of 8 dance move from side to side, with her head sort of tossing around. And that is a really popular greenwing dance routine. So she's got that down, and she could do it for a long time. Pretty much as long as you're interested in dancing with her, she will dance with you. So she's pretty high energy. The macaw species do vary a little bit in terms of their behaviors, and I would say that greenwings can be higher energy and a bit louder. They're a bit more.
Here I see.
Here we go. Here's the party starting. Yeah, and she just loves doing that, and if you do it with her, that's even more fun. So
I see how she's stopping and looking at the camera, like,
yeah, she's like, attention? You joining in,
Yeah.
you want to dance, oh yeah. I mean, they'll pick up and cue a lot off of you. So you can just let them kind of hang out at party level 1, or you can dance with them and notch things up to party levels 2 and above.
It looks like she has a number of toys in her cage as well.
Yeah, she's pretty I mean, it's really important that macaws have a variety of different toys to keep them enriched. So some toys they can chew on. You can see she's enjoying cardboard toys, but also some wooden toys is great because they have pretty powerful beaks, and they really enjoy splintering up chunks of wood. They don't have to be fancy toys. Literally just plain 2x4s from your local Home Depot will work. Something they can splinter up and keep those beaks busy and out of trouble. So yeah, a variety of toys, maybe even a foraging toy where she has to work a little bit to get a treat out of the middle of it is another good idea. Swings or boings can be really popular with macaws as well, which is also a good workout for them. So you can see she's got that rope perch, which is kind of hanging like a swing, so she can step through it, she can hang on it. And obviously a really nice big cage so that she's got some space to move around even when she's still inside.
Yeah, looks like she would make all use of it.
Yeah, and she's a pretty good bird about hanging out on her door. If you open the door and let her out, she's pretty good about not running off and exploring all over. She'll happily hang out on her cage door or play stand. So obviously you have to supervise her because macaws can get up to all kinds of mischief. But she's obviously, they need company attention, and it's really important to emphasize with macaws that they need a lot of your time. They're deeply social, and they need a flock. If they don't have other birds, then that's you. And so that means that you've got to acknowledge them, and that's really important for them.
So we've talked a lot about managing Ruby's hormones and about her emotional and sort of intellectual needs here and interacting with people. Does Ruby need any other types of special care?
Maybe just paying a little bit of attention. I don't know if you can see in the video, but she's actually missing some toes on her left foot.
I hadn't noticed it, but now that you pointed out, I did see it.
Yeah, she's missing just a couple of toes, which is honestly not a big deal and very common. A lot of birds, sometimes even just as little chicks in the, when they hatch, either the parents or other birds can end up nipping off toes. That does happen. She gets around just fine. But you may want to consider more rope perches or grippy perches and being, careful when she steps up for you to make sure that she's completely stable, and she may use her beak a bit more to stabilize as a result. So you have to just be ready for that and understand that's what she's doing.
Got it. So now I know we're going to move on to watch a video of another macaw named Harriet, but before we do that, are there any last things you'd like to tell us about Ruby?
Just, I think, to emphasize that anyone taking her on would need to be very observant of the hormonal cycle, and very committed to making sure she gets, her regular checkups, and also managing her environment to make sure she doesn't go through a prolonged egg laying period again. You mentioned earlier about her being beakier and harder to handle. It's in your interests, not just for her health and all the medical bills that would come with that, but also, making sure that she's comfortable. And when she's hormonal, all parrots are beakier and can be much harder to manage. She, when she was surrendered to us, the person who transported her was bitten and had to go get stitches. So, a lot of that was related to the fact she was very hormonal at the time from that period of intense egg laying. So, yeah, really important to be aware of that. But she's a really sweet bird, and with good care and a home that's well educated and prepared for her, she's, as you can see, she's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and she's pretty.
She's beautiful. Yeah, she really is.